There's a pandemic out there, all right, and it's a pandemic of distrust. The symptoms include, but are not limited to, mounting scepticism and a tendency to assume that an official whose lips are moving in front of a microphone is surely lying, or at least doing no more than push propaganda concocted by the state. Let me be clear. I have these symptoms and more besides, and I have no intention, none whatever, of seeking any remedy. Government is not, repeat, not to be trusted. That I have arrived at this state of mind after all these years, sceptical, questioning, seeking alternative points of view, doing my own research, thinking critically and encouraging others to do likewise. Well, hallelujah. And my only regret is that it took me so long. Say it once and say it loud. I don't trust the government and I'm proud. This week, a health expert, and another symptom of the distrust pandemic is the routine placing of the word expert in audible inverted commas. A health expert called on the Biden regime in its death throes, but most certainly not dead yet, to authorise the bird flu vaccine for Americans before Trump takes office. Allow me to quote from an article in online publication GBNews, a piece redolent with the aforementioned scepticism. Former Baltimore Health Commissioner Dr. Leana Wen called for the Biden administration to prompt the FDA to authorise the H5N1 vaccine and expand rapid testing for bird flu before President-elect Donald Trump takes office. In an appearance on CBS News' Face the Nation on Sunday, Wen claimed that the Biden administration should take steps to prepare for a possible animal-to-human outbreak of H5N1 following reports a patient in Louisiana contracted the virus earlier this month.
Bird flu. Is this report out of Louisiana worrisome? And if so, why?
Well, it's one more sign that the drumbeat of bird flu coming closer to humans is becoming a major threat. So we've already seen this year that there have been a number of mammalian species close to humans that now have bird flu outbreaks. We have outbreaks in poultry in all 50 states. 16 states have outbreaks in cattle. In California, in the last 30 days, there have been more than 300 herds that tested positive. And now we have 66 cases of bird flu in humans. And this is almost certainly a significant undercount because we have not been doing nearly enough testing, so we really don't know the extent of bird flu that's out there in humans. But this particular case, it's someone who is severely ill, but not only that, researchers have isolated the virus in this individual who is sick in Louisiana, and they found that this particular strain of the virus appears to have acquired mutations that make it more likely to bind to airway receptors. Bird flu has been around for a long time.
About 30 years.
Yeah, exactly, but it hasn't been a major issue in humans because while it spreads among birds, it hasn't really spread among mammals. But now there is this mutation. And there's another concern now major too, which is that we're in flu season. And it's possible that a single person could have bird flu and seasonal flu at the same time.
Something called reassortment.
That's right.
Where things change because of one illness becoming another illness through reassortment of a mutated virus.
That's right. And so the viruses could exchange genes. You could develop a new hybrid virus. And if you now have a virus that's more contagious and causes more severe disease, that's when it becomes a major threat to humankind.
I especially enjoyed the tone of the journalist. And as with expert, I often involuntarily place the word journalist in scare quotes now too, when he preempted his guest's use of the exciting technical term reassortment.
Something called reassortment.
That's right.
Where things change because of one illness becoming another illness through reassortment of a mutated virus.
Any suggestion that that cheesiest part of the exchange was carefully rehearsed ahead of time is mine and mine alone, of course. But are these people, these channels, listening to themselves and their output less like anything that might be called news, there's those inverted commas again, and more a bad, long-running soap opera performed by wooden actors? It might be funny if there wasn't something real and important to be aware of here. On account of the nonsense we were fed during the COVID 1984 era, the propaganda and lies that ended and destroyed lives, the trust of perhaps too many people, trust in authority figures, has gone for good. Real-world data from, for example, Germany, has long since revealed the truth about what actually happened in 2019, 2020 and 2021.
Sank die Klinikbelegung in Deutschland bundesweit im Jahre 2020 auf ein historisches Allzeittief, sagt das Bundesgesundheitsministerium. Zweitens gab es 2020 und 2021 nicht mehr schwere Atemwegserkrankungen als sonst. Corona kam, die Influenza verschwand zeitweise, sagen die Sentinel-Daten des RKI. Drittens starben im Jahr 2020 altersstandardisiert nicht mehr Menschen als sonst auch. Erst seit 2021 nimmt die Sterblichkeit zu, sagen Daten des Statistischen Bundesamts. Viertens waren Menschen, die mit oder an Corona verstarben, im Mittel 83 Jahre alt und die übrigen Verstorbenen im Mittel 82 Jahre alt, sagen RKI und Statistisches Bundesamt. Fünftens und letztens schnitt das masken- und lockdownfreie Schweden besser ab als Deutschland.
Lying and propagandizing authority doesn't even confront such data because it's the truth, however inconvenient. Instead, into the faces of the same populations coming to terms with having been lied to, having lost all trust and faith in authority, we are treated to frightening messaging about the next thing. I have no way of knowing if bird flu now poses a deadly threat, but I do know that one thing I absolutely will not be doing is taking the word of people offered up as health experts. I certainly haven't missed the fact that whatever this so-called bird flu outbreak does for the authorities, it's boosting their war on the food most of us eat. Surely it's no coincidence that the problem species, apart from us pesky humans of course, are the beef and dairy herds and the poultry flocks. Call me conspiracist, but that bird flu might bring closer the day when they start culling wholesale, like they've done before, and then the replacement of what's been taken from us, beef, chicken, milk and eggs with, well, I dread to think what with. Call me conspiracist, but I can't help seeing a pattern here.
And now we have 66 cases of bird flu in humans. And this is almost certainly a significant undercount because we have not been doing nearly enough testing, so we really don't know the extent of bird flu that's out there in humans.
Where have we heard that before? Not enough testing. It's actually a joke now. A popular meme all over social media. A meme that asked, what kind of threat to health is COVID when you don't know you have it unless you're tested for it? That sort of thinking has taken firm root now in the minds of millions, myself included, that COVID was only a state fantasy, that it was a product of a pandemic of nothing more than compulsory testing with PCR tests that were utterly unsuited to the task. It's only been a few years and too many people like me have this mindset now, cannot and will not forget what happened. Among other practices, testing sounds like a bad joke, something participated in only by the gullible, the dupes who chose to go along with the scam. I mentioned social media and the meme culture, and so it seems like no coincidence either that there's also coverage this week relating to an imminent US ban of TikTok. Online publication Reclaim the Net ran a story headlined, Donald Trump urges Supreme Court to delay TikTok ban amid First Amendment concerns. And I quote, a delay could reshape the digital landscape while redefining government power over online platforms. The article goes on, this legal manoeuvre comes as the Biden administration staunchly defends the ban, labelling TikTok a severe threat due to its ties to its Chinese parent company. With the app's future hanging in the balance, the Supreme Court faces a pivotal decision about whether the law, set to take effect January 19, violates the First Amendment. Arguments are scheduled for January 10, ensuring the case will remain at the forefront of public debate into the new year. The ban, passed by Congress earlier this year with bipartisan support, stems from fears that TikTok can harvest data from US users and manipulate content to serve geopolitical interests. Close quote. All through the COVID era, it was access to social media that kept millions of people sane in the face of state-driven mainstream media propaganda. So-called journalists, trusted by their viewers, set aside any morals and ethics and just cheerled the fear and pushed the state agenda. Too many people learned that lesson too. For many, the younger generation included, TikTok was where they went and where they continue to go to avoid lies pushed by their own governments. And so my point is this: governments, bad actors within and around it, serving the institutions, are responsible for this destruction of the popular trust. Whatever happens from this point, whatever threat, real or imagined, and let's face it, some threats are actually real, fewer and fewer people will expect to hear anything worth hearing from government or from the mainstream media and from the institutions of state. This matters, and profoundly. Scepticism and suspicion, distrust of authority, has moved from pandemic to endemic in that the new state of affairs has taken root in the thinking of millions. Bird flu today, is it? From many, and for completely understandable, legitimate reasons, the answer will be, I don't think so. And since authority is untrustworthy, we expect them, actually expect them, to seek to curtail free speech. Moves to ban TikTok or any other platform will be perceived for what they are: the desperation of the authorities to control the narrative only by censoring anyone and everyone who challenges their distrusted storytelling. In his challenge to the ban, Donald Trump has stated, "The First Amendment implications of the federal government's effective shuttering of a social media platform used by 170 million Americans are sweeping and troubling." End quote. Whether you're pro or anti-establishment, this is a state of affairs that might at least be described as interesting. Questioning, critically thinking people will always find ways to reach and remain in contact with one another. That more and more people want nothing whatever to do with authority, well, those authorities have only themselves to blame.